It's time to Let's Talk. All right, so there was some news that came out that Sony is actually winding down original game development at its oldest first-party developer, Japan Studio. Multiple sources have told VGC. So the reason why I wanted to actually talk about this was because I'm in the middle of live streaming, so I was just doing this video real quick. But basically, like this is a pretty major deal that Sony is taking a developer studio and they're repurposing it into, it's an iconic developer behind Ape Escape, Gravity Rush, Knack. Seen vast majority of its development staff let go. The sources said in their annual contracts were not renewed ahead of the company's next business year, which begins April 1st. That's huge because Sony's going to be losing a lot of OG original developers that made a lot of games like Ape Escape and Knack. Gravity Rush I don't think it took off as much as they ever wanted it to. Ape Escape is definitely a classic beloved series. Knack definitely, it broke even. I don't think they ever, it has this giant fan base around it, but it never saw a huge success, which is unfortunate and too bad. Localization business staff will remain in place in Asobi team. So Asobi is the ones that made the Astrobots, like the PlayStation Museum thing that came with the PlayStation 5. That was awesome. It was a really awesome history and just showcased, all the decades that basically PlayStation's been putting out consoles and handhelds and all that stuff and accessories and such. So it was also a pretty good wake up call to myself of like, I spent a long time on the Xbox and I was just like, man, I have done so much more stuff on the PlayStation than I even remember doing. So it was a really cool trip down memory lane, that Asobi ended up making with the Astrobots stuff for the PS5. Japan Studio staff will join Asobi, so that development team is just going to get stronger, which is really cool. As we were told, while others are followed, Silent Hill and Gravity Rush director Toyoyama, who left Japan Studio last year to make a brand new studio, Bokeh. Now, if he's making a brand new studio and he's got a whole bunch of people from the PlayStation side of developers, I don't see anybody being on bad terms with Sony over this. Everybody kind of knew this was coming. Everybody knew it was going to be a thing that was going to happen because Sony has been restructuring development studios so that they can actually make their current AAA staffed development studios even better. So where people are going to be like, oh, Sony's doing this bad thing and they're blowing up studios and everything. They're dissolving studios. Like everybody tries to make this big deal about Microsoft for doing. Well, the difference is though, Sony is actually restructuring. They're not just shutting down. Restructuring in the long run can definitely help out majorly with bigger titles being made. And which means that you'll have better experiences. Both the consumer and the developers will absolutely. It'll be better for consumers and developers on both sides of the equation for all this. It's not entirely clear if the restructure has affected the studio's external development department, which collaborated on games such as last year's Demon Souls. If you actually also look at Death Stranding, Kojima got so much collaboration with every single PlayStation studio. Before it was PlayStation Studio, it was Sony Entertainment, SIE basically, which got rebranded into PlayStation Studios now. That was, and also now Demon Souls was definitely helped out by a lot of that too. So. But one person VGC spoke to suggested it would continue. Yeah, all these people that have been working on PlayStation games forever now, they are going to continue working on PlayStation games, for the foreseeable future. They're just not going to be at the same development studio. I think they love working on PlayStation products. They love the IPs. They love, and if they have more help, more hands on deck making these products, it's just going to make it better for everyone. Multiple Japan studio developers have announced their departure from the company on social media in the last few days, of course, because they're shutting down the company, including Bloodborne producer Yamagiwa. Yamagiwa? Yeah. And video manager Sogabi, who are both leaving at the end of February, while a cryptic tweet from executive Yamamoto also hinted at his departure, which that is a pretty big blow that, literally Bloodborne's producer is leaving. Now, does that mean they are going to just leave and never work at a PlayStation company ever again? No. They might very well be working on Bloodborne 2 for PlayStation, just with a different development team. If you have the overall producer, the head of the studio, looking at working on with a different team, I mean, it could actually be better in the long run for like a Bloodborne 2, if that is in development at all. Leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment at the end of this month, going to continue working hard on creating games, thanks to everyone. Like, there's no bad blood here. Last day as a resident of Shinagawa, it's been real. I have information. I'll be leaving the SIE Japan studio at the end of February. Rather than working, I've been working with PlayStation and videos for the past 14 years. I continue to play new challenges in the new company and bridge between game and video. Thanks, Japan studio. Like I said, there's no bad blood here. I think they're all just going to be working on different projects. That studio got shut down just so they can take that funding, because Sony has to fund each and every studio that they employ. So if they take that funding and they put it towards a more advanced studio, because Japan Studio's been around for a long time, instead of, re-upping the studio, just take all those developers, and there's probably a lot of developers in that studio that have been working on the same thing for a long time, many years also. So it lets them have some, a breath of fresh air of something new to work on too. And meanwhile, the producer Bloodborne Demon Souls remake, Toriyama, said that he was leaving Japan at the end of 2020. So a lot of these people probably were getting set to leave. Also, this is like one of those things. It's one of those things that happens. Even though people don't want to see it happen, it happens. So Japan Studio's fate has been sealed over a year ago following the departure of longtime president Alan Becker, who was replaced by Astrobot Rescue Mission director Doucet, allegedly due to the frustrations or development's lack of hits. This might be the only thing that's really like, okay, about this whole thing. Another source said that this was a part of PlayStation shifting more power from its native Japan to the U.S. headquarters, which they have seen a lot of success with U.S. based development teams. Look at God of War. Look at the Infamous series. Look at The Last of Us. Look at Spider-Man. Those are all, none of those are really Japan-based teams. Like, a lot of the biggest hits that PlayStation is having right now is mostly all America. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is the last one that was like a major hit that was a Japan studio. So, it's a Japan studio. It actually might be in the West also. I'm not even quite sure on that. I am saying something. Okay, that's my first thing that I said so far that I'm like, is it? Hold on. Ghost Tsushima. Developer studio. It's Sucker Punch Productions. That's right. It's Sucker Punch that makes it. They are, the Sly Cooper SIE Worldwide Studios in Washington. Right. So even Ghost of Tsushima is American made. For some reason I was thinking that was FromSoft. FromSoft is definitely Japan. But yeah, I like, people are going to be trying to make a big deal out of this. Don't worry about it. If anything, it's going to be great in the long haul for everyone. That's, the nature of AAA, PS4, PS5 development. We're obviously not going to have worldwide studios make games for one specific European country. Like, the stuff that you're going to be hearing about, all this stuff is just like, it was founded in 93, was created iconic IP, Ape Escape, Patapon, Gravity Rush, in addition to, so it does suck that, assisting other developers such as From Software, Bluepoint, and Q Games. It does suck that one of the original if one of the original studios is going away, that's probably the biggest blow of this whole thing. Of like, man, we lose one of the OGs. But in all honesty, I think that their work, the stuff that they're going to work on, is going to overshadow that very quickly with this next few months of PlayStation State of Plays that we're going to be having, and or showcases, I think they're calling them. Yeah, because the State of Play is what happened today, where we saw Final Fantasy PS5 version and a few other games, and then the showcases show off the brand new stuff. So, yeah, overall, I like it that Sony is taking the initiative to just try and keep growing the platform, keep growing the brands, and making moves so that we have, even cooler and better adventures to go on. And hopefully maybe we get some VR support stuff in there too. Like, we see the little Astrobot dude down here. Let's get that little VR support going on, like an Ape Escape VR or something, This is also not to say that these IPs like Ape Escape and Knack and Gravity Rush and such are not going to go to other studios. They're still Sony owned IPs. They could easily be picked up by like a Blue Point or something. Blue Point finally gets to make an original title, basically, instead of just making remakes, remasters. That this does not mean that can't happen. It's not like Konami just going like, nope, well, we have a license, we're never going to use it again. That's not how PlayStation works. So yeah, if anything, PlayStation just has more cards up their sleeves. So this is good. This is a really, really awesome thing to see. This is one of the things that PlayStation does better than a lot of the other competition out there. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.